What's up, everyone? So, we got another NFL offseason recap video, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Atlanta Falcons, how they did during the 2019 season, what they've done so far in free agency, and what they should be looking for in the NFL draft. With a 7-9 overall record and a 4-2 divisional record, the Falcons had a relatively disappointing season given the weapons and talent they had on both sides of the football. This is a team that had Super Bowl aspirations coming into the season, but ultimately failed to live up to it. Head coach Dan Quinn was very close to getting fired, but some inspired football played by the Falcons in the second half of the season gave Quinn one more year to his job. The Falcons suffered some injuries, such as rookie right tackle Caleb McGarry having heart surgery in the offseason and missing a chunk of the season as well as star safety Keanu Neal suffering another season-ending injury with an Achilles tear in Week 3. The Falcons were average offensively, finishing 15th in offensive DVOA. And in case you don't know what DVOA is, it's a statistic used by Football Outsiders that calculates the true performance of an offense or defense based on variables like yards per play given up and average yards per down. The offense is spearheaded by the two-headed monster of Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, while tight end Austin Hooper had a breakout year. Defensively, the Falcons were horrendous during the first half of the year. But after Dan Quinn gave up his defensive coordinator duties to Raheem Morris, they turned it around. Yet it was still a below-average defense that got a little pass rush and had a leaky secondary, which led them to getting the 20th best defensive DVOA. Now on to their pre-free agency moves. Well, the Falcons made quite some moves before March 18th to free up some cap space, as they are a top-heavy team with tons of money invested to guys like Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Jake Matthews, and Alex Mack. To free up space, they cut starting running back Devontae Freeman and star cornerback Desmond Trufant, both players who have been stalwarts at their positions for the last couple of years and let them go to free agency. They also released tight end Luke Stalker and offensive lineman Ty Sambrailo to free up cap space. Tyler Davison was rewarded with a 3-year contract extension after having a very solid 2019 year as D tackle for the Falcons. And finally, the Falcons promoted Raheem Morris to defensive coordinator after he showed that he would be able to lead the defense in the second half of the 2019 season. So now on to who the Falcons added in free agency. Well, the Falcons had very little cap space, so they needed to get creative with their money. First off, on the first day of free agency, the Falcons traded for Hayden Hurst, and it cost them a second-round pick. But however, he's a very solid tight end that was just buried on Baltimore's deep depth chart behind Mark Andrews and Nick Boyle. So if the Falcons are able to coax that first-round talent out of Hurst, it would be a good deal for them. They also gave defensive end Dante Fowler a 3-year, $45 million contract in hopes of him performing at his 2019 level like he did with the Rams this past year. The Falcons also gave Todd Gurley a home reunion as they signed him to a 1-year, $6 million contract to basically just take Devontae Freeman's place. I see this as good value for the Falcons, as they have pretty much stolen one of the top running backs in the past couple of years, as long as his legs stay healthy and the arthritis doesn't limit his agility, as well as his ability to break tackles. Then the Falcons made some small money moves, such as giving 1-year deals to guys like Laquan Treadwell, who's been a bust in the Vikings wide receiving room for years, and extending rotational pass rusher Allen Bailey to a 1-year, $4.5 million contract in hopes of keeping some of their defensive players that brought them success during the second half of the year. Now, who did the Falcons let go? Well, the Falcons didn't have the money to keep guys like Austin Hooper, so they were forced to let him go despite a solid receiving season. However, in my eyes, this is a blessing in disguise, as he was solely a receiving threat that wasn't really a good runner pass blocker. Paying him the money the Browns gave him would not be good for them, as they wouldn't have money for other free agents. As mentioned before, longtime starting cornerback Desmond Trufant went to the Lions, which they had to be able to do to save cap space. And they also let go of defensive end Vic Beasley, who's been a colossal disappointment following his 15.5 sack season during the Falcons Super Bowl run. They also released Devontae Freeman, who is still on the waiver wire. They let Ty Sambrailo go to the Titans, Wes Schweitzer to go to the Redskins. Devondre Campbell has gone to the Cardinals, and they released punter Matt Bosher, who's still unsigned. Now on to the draft. Well, the Falcons are picking at 16, so they should look to target an edge rusher at that position. Some possible options are AJ Epineza from Iowa, who has really gotten mixed reviews, as he had a pretty bad combine, but has shown really good flashes on tape, especially against guys like Austin Jackson, who have been deemed pro-ready. But he really lacks the build to be a true edge rusher, as he only weighs 275 pounds, which is why his combine performance was below average. The Falcons could also look to choose Clevin Chason from LSU, as he is another great prospect with a ton of speed and a ton of agility off the line. Finding a replacement for Desmond Trufant is also in play because the Falcons play in the NFC South, which means they have 3 teams that feature pass-heavy offenses. Bruce Arians, which is a downfield attack, which he's going to have Tom Brady in there next year. Joe Brady, who's taken over offensive coordinator for the Panthers, is going to have Teddy Bridgewater, a competent quarterback to be able to launch those bombs, as well as Drew Brees, who has been one of the most accurate quarterbacks over the last couple of years and still performing at a high level despite his age. So finding guys like Christian Fulton, C.J. Henderson, or Trayvon Diggs at 16 might not be a bad option. And I think C.J. Henderson is the best cover corner out of these three and the second best cover corner behind Jeffrey Okudah, and he might be the best pick for them at 16. Now, the rest of the draft for the Falcons should be finding solid depth players to try to back up their depth chart, while also maybe finding an outside linebacker to replace Devondre Campbell and someone who would really complement Deion Jones in the run and pass game. Well, that's all for the offseason recap for the Atlanta Falcons. Don't forget to like, comment what you think the Falcons' record is going to be in 2020, what they should have done in free agency, and who you think they're going to draft. And don't forget to subscribe for more offseason recaps.